Hello guys, as many of you requested a commentary for the tutorials, I will add this to more complex topics like this one in the future. Now in today's video we're going to look at the UI table for the dashboard. So as you scroll down to the dashboard section you will see that we do not have a UI table here. So we're going to have to first install it. We can do that in the burger menu on the top right corner. Then we'll go to Manage Palette, Install and type UI table. Now this is the one that we want and we can install it. This may take a few seconds depending on your internet connection. Alright, now as we have installed it properly, we can go to the dashboard section and on the very bottom we can see our table. We can interact with this table the same as we could with all the nodes from the dashboard until this point. So as usual we're going to create a tab and a group. The tab name is going to be dashboard and the group is going to be, let's say, table. And then we're going to have a first look at the table. So we are going to assign it to the table. We can select the size, we can give it a name, doesn't matter for now, and we can define our columns. We're going to get to that in a few minutes. Alright, let's do that and let's deploy it to see what we got. So with this button right here we can go to the dashboard directly. Right, now we can see that there's a table, but there's nothing in it as we have not included any data for now. So for information you can always go on the book here, that's the documentation of the node, and here you can see how the data has to be injected to the node to work properly. Here you can see the inputs. It has to be in the payload of the MSG and it should be an array of objects containing the raw data. Now here in the details you can see how to interact with it and you even get an example data set to try it out. Now one interesting fact that many of you probably don't know is that you can go to the import section, and normally if you import something you're going to use your clipboard or local, but now you can go to examples and here you can see that you have tutorials for the UI table. So for example you can use the simple table, import that, and then you have an example on how to use the table. And this is not for every node, but some nodes provide that option, which is very useful. Alright, now that we know how to inject some data, we're going to create some data. Let's use an inject for that one. And so it said that we need to inject an array of objects. So the MSG.payload data type is going to be a JSON. By clicking on the three buttons, you open the editor. So we're going to first define an array, and in that we're going to define an object. Now we can use format JSON to format it properly. Alright, so now we're going to do some random data. Let's start with a name. It's going to be, I don't know, my name. And we're going to do an age. Let's just say 26. And again, you can use format JSON to format it properly, so it's easier to read. Alright, let's have a look how this looks now. We're going to done, then we're going to deploy that, and we're going to inject our data. If we now go to the dashboard, you can see that we have a table. The row names are the keys in our objects, and the values are in our rows. Alright, let's add another data point. So we're going to do the same again. This has to have the same keys as the other one. So name again. We're going to say my new name. And we're going to specify the age as whatever, 32. Again, format. Alright, now we have an array with two JSON objects and the same keys. Alright, let's do that, deploy and inject that. Alright, now we have our table with multiple rows, and as you might have seen before, there are some arrows on our tables. This is a basic sorting function, so you can sort the name in alphabetic order or the age in numerical order, right? All right, what if we want to specify another column name than the key in our dataset? For that, we're going to go to the table settings, and now we're going to get to the columns, as I said before. So we're going to have to specify a property. The property is going to be the key of the values in our dataset. So the first one would then be name, and now we can give it a title. So now we're just going to use a capital name. We can say where we want to align it. So we're going to use left for now, and we're going to use it as plain text. As you can see, there are multiple options. We are going to get into them in future videos. So let's select plain text and deploy that. So what you'll see now is that we only see the name. So if you have a very big data set, you can use the column function to only show the things that you want to show in your table. So now we have the column name, big and capital N, as we specified, and we can still sort it alphabetically. So let's add the age as well, same as before, but now we want to align it in the center, and the format is going to be plain text as we don't have any numeric options. Right, let's do that. All right, now we will have both of those. Now we can also add a width. Let's just say we want our age to be 100 pixels. So we can add that. Since I have made it way too big, there's now a scroll bar. So let's change it to something more reasonable. Let's use 25 pixels. All right, now it's smaller, okay. Now, if you would like to have it like that, but it's still too big, you can go to the dashboard, layout, make it like, whatever, 10, width of 10. You can make it a little bigger. All right, deploy that. And now you can see that. All right. So I don't want to use that, so let's go back. By the way, if you want to do it, you should really avoid using pixels, just use like percents instead. Usually the better option, 25%. Let's deploy that. That's just way better. So this removes the need to use the scroll bar. Okay. Now, as you can see, if I'm hovering with my mouse over the rows, they are getting gray. So I can click on it, but nothing happens. So in here we have the option to send data on the click. This enables us to make dashboards that respond to user input. So we're going to use a debug node here, and let's see what happens. We're going to go to debug mode, select my name 26. Now you can see that we've got a message here. So it gives us the data of the index or of the row that we clicked, and also an ID. Now let's click on the other one. We can see that the ID is another one. Now if you are wondering where this ID is coming from, this is actually from our data set. You can see ID 0 is the first data block that we got here, so my name and 26, and the index 1 is my name. So if you want to reference to an array, you can use this ID directly to get the data from there, or you can just use the name and age directly as you want. So that's it for now. In the next few videos, we're going to take a look at a few more examples on how to use the UI table on our dashboard.